today's episode, we will talk about the rise of Superman, and I am going to also go through my Japanese lessons today because I have teachers. Right. Hmm. Yep. So today I'll talk about the rise of Superman. It's a study day today. We'll just study mostly. Um, let's take a look at this. So the reason why I'm reading this is because of an article called this someone shared um, in our building a second brain. Someone shared in building a second brain a couple of books talking about flow. Now, if you aren't familiar with flow, the concept of flow or the flow state, there are conditions to get into the flow state. The flow, psychology of flow is or the flow state is known colloquially as being in the zone. It is the mental state in which a person performing some activity is fully immersed in the feeling of energized focus, full involvement, and the enjoyment of the process of the activity. Someone shared in our recommended list of books on flow this particular book, The Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler. And today I'm going to take some time studying this book. I'm going to take some time studying this book. Right. So it turns out that this is part of my Kindle free library. Turns out that this was part of my Kindle free library list. So I'm taking advantage of that. If you are subscribed to Amazon Prime, you get certain free books, Kindle books. You get certain free Kindle books to read, and this is one of them. Right, so I'll spend my day going through this and just scanning some ideas, topics, and concepts that I can use in my second brain in building my personal knowledge management system. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's see. Decoding science ultimate human performance. We call this experience flow because of what is the sensation conferred. In flow, every action, every decision leads effortlessly, fluidly, seamlessly to the next. It's high speed problem solving. It's being kept swept away by the river of ultimate performance. Flow naturally catapults you to a level you're not naturally in, as explained by Harvard Medical School psychiatrist Ned Hallowell. Flow naturally transforms a weakling into a muscleman, a sketcher into an artist, a dancer into a ballerina, a plodder into a printer, an ordinary person to become extraordinary. Everything you do better in flow. This is a nice highlight. Flow is an optimal state of consciousness, a peak state where you feel both at your best and perform your best. Mhm. A recent Gallup survey found that 71% of American workers were not engaged or actively disengaged from their jobs. Think about this for a moment. 2 out of 3 of us hate what we do with vast with the majority of the time. This is a crisis of commerce, or say the least. Yet we already know where the solution lies. The other 29% of workers have jobs that generate flow. Flow directly correlates to happiness at work, and happiness at work directly correlates to success. As CNN recently reported, a decade of research in the business world proves that happiness raises nearly every business and educational outcome, raising sales by 37%, productivity by 31%, and accuracy on task by 19%, as well as a myriad of health and quality of life improvements. Yet there's a rub. Flow must be the most desirable state on earth. It is also the most elusive. Mhm. Okay, right. Genius agrees. Genius begins with the feats of mental greatness. It takes courage to push past the confines of culture. The thinking must also be brave. Okay, it's just an episode. Okay, what's your point? These are stories. So, what happened? Why was I disconnected? I'm not talking too much. I'm just reading and taking notes. There's another article, story about hmm. So I guess his point is the story of Mark Fu. So highway riders in the world. So because of Mark Fu's death, people actually surfed more. Uh, Realizing their lives were really on the line, should have started backing away from the line, but that's not what happened. A number of big wave riders around the world, total less than 100. These days, it's well into the thousands. The phenomenon is ubiquitous. Right now, more people are risking more than ever before in history. It is not often death, it's told so clearly to trying to explain this is why this is why it's happening. It's not easy. In the years since Darwin published. So what your point here is that if it's dangerous, people should just walk away according to the origin of Darwin's origin of the species. But people tend to want to go to what's even more dangerous. Right. The shortest path towards Superman. Let me go visit this again. This is actually a nice story. That's why the title is The Question of Cost. This one is about the backflip, the invention of the motorcycle backflip. So this is a story about setting a bar, and this is the story about making the bar ordinary, and this is a question of risk, which I think will be tied somewhere here. For the conditions of flow, there must be a presence of risk. There must be the presence of risk. There is some condition. So my goal, I'm tying this into my ideas. Well, I'm teaching for the past few days how to connect. I'll put it here. Should connect the concept of flow to team flow, getting the entire team into the flow, and then to connect the concept of flow to the team flow, and to get them to the flow in the shortest possible time, to get the team into the flow. the shortest possible time. So imagine if you're playing a sport like basketball or volleyball or whatever your favorite sport is. Once you start the game, you instantly know how to get to your flow state, or at least it's not as hard to get to your flow state. Compare that with work, with what he was explaining here, that he's making an assumption that a lot of people don't get to their flow state immediately at work, oftentimes. That's interesting. There is a presence of risk. There is a presence of risk. And I want to highlight this a bit more. I want to see this, the denial of death. So this the fear of this let me the theory of evolution says this is a nice section to highlight. I want to revisit Mark Fu. Okay, let's go to another story. So it's a series of stories. It's a collection of stories. So this is modern writing. On the last day of the women's team's competition, Strug's vault is considered one of the greatest moments in gymnastics history. Strug, who are you? Carrie Strug. Let's look for Carrie Strug. Try to discover. It's dramatized quite a bit here. Carrie Strug. Carrie Strug. That's correct, Carrie Strug. She's a member of the Magnificent Seven. She is a member of the Magnificent Seven, victorious all-around women's gymnastics team that represented the United States in the 1996 Summer Olympics, and is best remembered for performing the vault despite having injured her ankle. I see. And where are you referenced from? Okay, so you're the story. So I guess let me just browse through all the articles, scan through it, so, and I see an idea of the general gist of the book. So basically this is the state of flow, right? So another story about the history of peak performance. Okay, just scanning. Another story. Mihai Csikszent Mihai. Mihai Csikszent Mihai. Mihai Csikszent Mihai. It's about flow. Oh, he has a TED Talk. Let's look at TED Talk. Yeah. Flow. That's him. Okay. Okay. He's talking about flow. Okay, I will browse through this for the whole day and go through it. I wanted to revisit this lecture by Tiago Forte about my lessons. He talks about the flow state quite a bit. Flow states. I wanna revisit this.
Flow states is one of the important ideas in all of productivity. It really being, and I really got to the bottom of the state of operation in which a variety of experiences is something like, you know, decisions. It's just like thought and action just fuse into one. Also contains your inner critic.
This is what I wanted
kind
to
of
hear.
being kicked off. Each kid that they saw at school, they're not thinking that there's a right way to play. This is the science that I found. There's actually a series, a cascade of neurochemicals that are
The science
kicked off, each one kicking off the next. And the phenomenon of flow in the literature is called transient hypofrontality. Transient because it's only temporary. And hypofrontality just means the front of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for analysis and higher order thinking, but also contains your inner critic, right? The same logical part of your brain that is so smart also contains that inner voice that is so critical and kind of beats you up and is so harsh. Okay, so there's this cascade of neurochemicals. Norepinephrine heightens focus, that feeling that the thing you're focused on is the only thing that exists in the world. Dopamine improves pattern recognition, right? Dopamine is often so the ability to, if you're stuck on one track, to just move over to a different way of thinking and continue.
thinking out of the box.
It's like that feeling of relaxation throughout the body, where your stress response, that kind of background anxiety, just kind of lets go. And endorphins give you a sense of inner tranquility, that sense of just pure pleasure, pure enjoyment. Okay. So that's the science. There's a lot more to be said about that. But what I want you to take away from this, the important point, is that flow is the holy grail of productivity.
Performance, enjoyment, and learning. Yes. It is the holy grail of productivity. Transient, temporary, less slowed frontality, prefrontal cortex of the brain. It is a short period of time we can get the frontal region of the brain that controls our inner dialogue to calm down. Oh, so this time when you don't panic, you relax. Hmm, this is nice. I will highlight this. By performing exercise that requires the thing exercise that allows us to zone that the brain regulates. You can induce it through yoga, long stance, any repetitive activity where you lose yourself in a task. Any repetitive activity where you can lose yourself in a task. Now I'm taking notes of this, but I need to further digest it, verify it, whether or not I believe all of this, and is there really a science to this? Let's read some more about transient hypofrontality. What is? No wonder it is. And flow state. Hmm. Just it's in every altered state. This is back in 2014. I will read Aaron. Who's this? Kotler. Aaron Dietrich. This is Stephen Kotler, and who is Dietrich? we will read, digest this a bit more, because this applies to our concept of being productive in work, in the and team productivity. Yes, I will end my stream today here with my usual Japanese lessons. Actually, that's my ending. So what did I learn today from Flow State? Well, I learned that there must be some risk, and you have to get state of transient hypofront transient transient hypofrontality transient hypofrontality and risk. Those are just what I've learned today, but there are more. There's more to learn. All right, it's a good start. Good start. Let's add that. Today I learned transient hypofrontality. Transient hypofrontality. Go to my Japanese lessons to end it. Did I type that correctly? The spelling. Transient hypofrontality. Hypofrontality. Right, I got it right. Which is I will study that later a bit more. For now, I'll study my Japanese lessons because I have class at 8:30. And I'll end my stream session.
恥ずかしい
Hazukashi is it's an adjective, right? It's, quiet,
恥ずかしい恥ずかしい
embarrassed. Hazukashi.
冷蔵庫
Reizoko. I don't remember. Refrigerator.
ハンバーガー
Hamburger. Yeah,
ハンバーガー
that's pretty easy. Notebook.
ノートコン
Notepasukon.
DVD プレイヤー
DVD player.
DVD プレイ
Heya bango. Room number.
部屋番号肘
Ichi.
肘
Elbow. Manzokushita. Manzokushita is I don't know.
満足
I'm satisfied. Aircon.
エアコン落ち着いた
Uchichuita. Uchichuita.
喫煙
Kitsuen.
喫煙喫煙
Smoking. Nervous.
緊張する
Kinchusuru. Tekubi.
手首
Wrist.
来る
To come. To come?
来る
To come. Yeah, got it.
日本の出身です
Nihon no shushin desu. Nihon, Japan no shushin. What is shushin? Japan.
日本の出身です
I'm from Japan. internet.
インターネット。
暖かい。
暖かい。
warm machine. 1000 is 1000.
1000.
Hindi, not kakoy. Kakoy is cool. Looking at the cool, but cool, refreshing. I don't remember.
涼しい。
Suzushi. Skato.
スカート。恥ずかしい。
Azukashi again is Hazukashi. Hazukashi is
恥ずかしい。
embarrassed.
冷蔵庫。
Refrigerator.
冷蔵庫。
Note pasokon.
ノートパソコン。肘。
Elbow.
肘。
Manzokushita.
満足した。
Satisfied. Izukashi. No.
落ち着いた。
Uchichuita.
喫煙。
Kitchen wrist.
喫煙。
Smoking. What's nervous?
緊張する。
Tekubi. This is wrist.
手首。日本の出身です。
I'm from Japan.
日本の出身。
Atatakai.
暖かい。
Warm. Cool.
涼しい。
Suzushi.
恥ずかしい。
Suzushi and Hazukashi is Suzushi is cool, refreshing. Hazukashi is
恥ずかしい。
embarrassed. Manzokushita. Now my technique is to attach a picture to it somehow.
満足した。
So I imagine someone eating a mango. Calm. Ochichuita.
落ち着いた。
Ochichuita. Okay. Got it.
喫煙。
Kitsuen is smoking.
喫煙。
Nervous is... What's nervous?
緊張する。
Kincho suru. What's a photo in my mind that will make me remember this? Kincho suru. Okay. Atatakai.
暖かい。
Atatakai. Okay. Hazukashi.
し。
Suzushi. Okay.
恥ずかしい。
Hazukashi is is this calm?
恥ずかしい。
How do I tie in Hazukashi to embarrassed? Okay. Manzokshita. Cool. Ango, right?
満足
Satisfied.
した。
Satisfied. Okay. Quiet. Suzushi.
落ち着いた。
Ochichuita. Suru. Kinchu suru.
緊張する。
Ha, got it. Kinchu suru. Atatakai. Calm.
暖かい。
Warm. Okay. I imagine something. Suzushi. Suzushi.
涼しい恥ずかしい
Okay, so Hazukashi has embarrassed.
恥ずかしい
Ochichuita.
落ち着いた
Chichuita. Warm. Genial.
暖かい
Yeah. Nice, nice, nice. And that ends today's session today because I was just studying and then taking notes. Okay, bye. Bye, Ellie.